do you think?
Usually I'm really well with time management, but sometimes I do feel a little frustrated, but not really, to be honest. I feel like I'm at a good standing.
Mm.
I do have some extra time where I could use that, leverage that, and just focus more on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you plan to like get a job soon or
Yeah,
when?
I've been applying to a couple jobs, at least trying to get one at least here at school for right now, just a part time. But
Mm-hmm.
it's difficult, at least with the scheduling. That's probably the hardest part, trying to find a job that works with your schedule.
Mm-hmm. I see. Yeah. So I think like for now in the process, then you just like learning about a business, you haven't start building it, right?
Yeah,
So most of the things that maybe later Tona can show you the slide about what we do in here and what do we expect. So basically this step is more about partnership expectation that we show you what is the requirement for you to launch the business and
yeah,
how can the mentorship help you. So basically, in the process, what we do is we just try to educate you as much as information that we have for you to get ready,
yeah,
launch the business. So basically, we have material provide for you, like the audios, the book, and we have like weekly meetings, right? That you go to and you can learn more about the business, how we show the plan to people and products,
yeah,
mentorship too. So that's pretty much it in terms of like personal development and
yeah,
growing your mindset. But then after you launch the business, then now we have to add in some of the habit for you to building the business, which is finding customer, right? Which is actually going out and introduce the business opportunity to other people, to find business partner, to have a team, to start building a team.
yeah,
So I think like everyone gonna be busy, especially at this age. If you're not busy, something wrong, right? You
yeah,
should be busy and hustle. So I guess we make time for what we think is important. You know, everyone can be busy, but not everyone can be productive,
yeah,
right? Because busy is you doing a bunch of things, but productive is you doing the right things that lead to your goal. So I guess like after you launch, we also have a step where we sit down to set goal for you. And like this step, you should start learning a little bit about our composition plan. Like how do Amway pay money in here? Because we have so many different pay level and bonuses that you can get, from the business. So let's say back then when I hit, let's say, a team of 10, 15 people and we generate around like 2,500 PV. You remember PV? It's a
yeah.
point values, right? So at that time, I was just a third year in the business and I make like close to $2,000 per month.
Yeah,
So basically, I can just walk away from my part-time job, or I can still working and have double income. So there are many different level, and it's equivalent to a certain structure, business structure, or a revenue. So Tona can show you a little bit more later.
Yeah.
But basically, that's something that you should sit down and start thinking. So when you walk into the business, you have a right expectation and the right commitment. Because this business is a part-time opportunity, but doesn't mean it's a some-time opportunity,
yeah,
right? Because when you launch your business, you cannot just be like, okay, today I'm tired, I'm lazy, I'm just gonna shut it down.
yeah,
Like yes, you can do it. It's not a job, but then it's not a long-term thing because you just do it whenever you feel like you want to do it. Not like treat it like a professional thing or like a full-time job. Because this is something my mentor he told me that if you treat the business like a full-time job, you make money like a full-time income, right? But if you treat the business like a hobby, then you not make money, but you're gonna waste money in here. Because
yeah,
you treat it like a hobby and you still have to spend time to study it and use the product anyway. So that's why I think I want you to have a right expectation and a commitment, and it's okay for you to start very small, which is like
yeah,
1-2 hour per day, 3-4 hour per day, whatever. But when the income going up, I think you would want to put in more commitment because you have a team you have to build.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's just an idea of it. But I guess like for time management, I always can sit down with anyone in my team to do like a budgeting or schedule for them to
yeah,
start doing the work. and it's different from people commitment. Some people want to go fast, some people want to go slow, so that's why there's no right or wrong answer for this question, but just more about like what is your deadline or what is your goal, because if you keep setting a goal without a deadline, then it's hard to know if you're on track or off track, if you do too much or too low, yeah. So yeah, if right now you feel like you just want to learning about it and like take time to go through it, then right now I think like 2 hours per day is enough for you to go to some material, or you have meeting that you can join, But let's say you take 2-3 weeks to finish the process, then that's when we start to talk more about doing the work, right? Because that's when we have to train you more about when you go out there what to talk about, right? Or like when you share product to people, how do you share it? What objection you might have? Yeah. Yeah. But right now, what is your expectation, or like how do you see the potential of this business based on your current schedule?
You said the potential?
Like potential of how do you see the business right now? Like when you want to get started, or do you feel ready, or you need some more time to?
I see that I'm not ready yet.
Need
to learn a little bit more, but I see that I'm getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it's once you get to a certain stage, that's when they start teaching you more about what to say. So once I get a little bit closer to there, then yeah, I'll be ready. But
See. So with your current schedule, like, how much time do you see yourself can really put into something like this? Besides school, do you have any like family responsibility or other things you have to do?
some responsibilities, but I'd say 1 to 3 hours should be a day. It
Okay.
depends the day, like some days you get an hour, some days will be 2, 3, maybe 4. But it all really depends, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. I think like commitment can change over time, right? But then for now, that's enough for you to learn about the business. And I mean, throughout the process, what we're trying to do too, like I shared earlier, is about the trust, the relationship that we have, right? Because I think that many people, they never really have a concept of mentorship in their life, right?
Yeah.
And some of them come into this whole process and try to treat this like an interview, like they try to impress us so much, but impress doesn't mean you improve, right? So if you come in, what you're trying to do is you really share out your concern with us, or like your challenging question. I really welcome that, because I do think that those people who ask those questions, they're actually serious about the business and they want to know more. So you don't have to avoid those questions, just go straight in and ask us. And I want people to really be authentic, be real, because if we plan to do the business in long run, then I think impression is for short-term relationship only. It's kind of be for long-term relationship, right? And if you have so many strengths and you're so good, then you don't even need mentorship, right? But if you do, then we would love to work with each other. And the reason why I love network marketing, or the B quadrant, is where you don't have to be the best, but you can work with people who are better than you or smarter than you. You don't have to be the smartest, right? But then if you have people in the team that's smarter than you in different area, you can leverage them, right? Because for people in the business quadrant, the business world, it's not about being independent or being solo, being in the top one by yourself. But how can you learn that teamwork? How can you learn to delegate tasks and learn about leadership? So you can work with more people that building your business with you, So that's what work smart means. You don't just work hard by yourself, but you work smart by having people helping you building the business. Yeah. So I think it takes time for you to trust us, and the other way around, right? We also need time to trust each other. But what we value is the attitude of someone when it's coming to facing challenge, or facing negativity. Because as you see, network marketing is a big industry, and the same thing like other industry, there's negative opinion and positive opinion. There are people like it, there are people who don't like it, there are people who succeed, there are people who fail before. So I don't say like your opinion is right or wrong, but what I'm saying is that when you walk into an opportunity, I don't try to look at people who like fail, because if I want to win, then why I have to compare myself with them? Because some people might walk in and like, why the success ratio is so low and all of this, that, right? But I'm
Yeah.
like, it's just a probability, not the possibility that you cannot win, right? So if you do look at people at the top one, top two, then there are something that they do very different compared to people who fail their business. So
Yeah.
I walk in and I'm curious about what did they do different? How did they stand out? I'm not curious about something went wrong, but more about what's right, what's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And especially for this business, if you can see that the input, which is people who can sign in and become IBO or get an Amway account, is very easy. It
Yeah.
doesn't require background check or degree. So that's why the number who get in is very big, but the people who actually make it out and succeed is lower, right? So when
Yeah.
you look at the ratio, it's not always accurate because they do also calculate people who sign up one day and stop, building the business, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you need some of the common sense, I would say, or some of your own evaluation when it's coming to business decision. And if you're not sure about it, you feel free to bring it up, any of your concern, and I can answer it for you. Yeah. But I think with that, then Tona and Chris can show you more about partnership expectation for this step. And do you have any other question you have for me or?
Yeah, just earlier you mentioned how you were when you first started, you're very introverted, you didn't have public speaking skills, and you kind of went over how you managed that. But I just want to ask again, what were some of the things, do you believe that it was the mentorship that really helped you develop those skills to become how you are now and just to continue getting better and better? Or what was maybe something that you did in specific that the mentors didn't tell you or that you just did on your own that helped you just develop your skills?
Mm-hmm. So, so when we talk about skill set,
Yeah.
I think the way that we can master any skill, there's only one word, it's called practice,
Yeah.
right? Which is you do that one thing, repeat it all over again and again and again until you get it.
Yeah.
It's like any athlete, they go into that Olympic competition. So it's happened every 4 or 5 years, but throughout that 4 or 5 years, they practice the same thing.
Yeah.
Do the same thing, or it's the same way with Messi or Ronaldo, right? Every day they wake up the same time, do the same habit, eat pretty much the same thing, do the same practice and again. So I think successful people, they're not just doing new things every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just doing the same thing. It's very repetitive and boring, but that's why they're different because they don't try to chase after so many new things, but they try to master one thing at a time. And that's how they make a lot of money out of that one thing. So I think for this mentorship, what I have is not just about the book and the audio, because out there are also a lot of business courses that you can buy, right? And they try to sell you, or you walk into a library, so many business books. But then the difference between, this mentorship and I think what we have out there is that there are someone actually can help you to apply it. And it's an opportunity for you to apply what you learn. Because I did take a public speaking classes before or communication classes, but then when I study it, I go back, I don't have anything to apply. I don't have a team to work with.
Yeah.
And that's why the skill got stuck there, right? Because you learn all the theory, but then you don't know how to transfer it to application. And that's why you can never master it. So at least in here, you have an opportunity that everything that you learn from a meeting, the book, the audio, you have a team to apply. You have a business to apply it to, right? And then if you fail, you can always do it again, And the second thing is that you have mentor and coaches, people that you can always go back to follow through, to fix, to adjust, what you did wrong. But then if you don't have the mentorship, then who do you go to? Most of the time you just go back to yourself. You being independent, right? But then how can you coach yourself? How can you really mentor yourself? Because you don't even have the success that you want yet. How can you coach yourself? But many times people, they just do that self-learning, which is good, but then they don't know if they're on track or off track, because they don't have someone who's been there, done that, and point out for them the direction that they should go or they should do, right? So having a mentorship, having a coach or mentor doesn't guarantee your success, but it do minimize the time that you take to succeed, right? Because having a mentor or coach, their job is just to coach you, right? And you still have to do the work. Doesn't mean they do everything for you. They just coach you. So first you have to be coachable, right? Which is you open for feedback. You're willing to let them point out things for you to change and improve and learn. And you have to be really transparent about what you do. So it's like you going to the gym and you hire a personal trainer. You actually eat something that's not on the menus that they give you, but you lie to them. They still know why, because you're gonna step on that way,
Yeah.
and they know, right? So the same thing in here. I think like we want to coach people, but sometimes there are some people that are not very coachable.
Yeah.
So we need to let them have time to learn by heartbroken. After they failed so many times, and that's when they want to listen. But I'm just trying to say that you have people who succeed in the area that you want to have. They are ready for you to to learn from. Second thing is that you don't just learn all the theories like you learn in school, but you actually have a business, a network, a team, a real product for you to apply those knowledge to work with, right? Because I think most of the time it's not about the knowledge. We never missing knowledge. We have other things in the world like ChatGPT. We have, like so many things on YouTube. But people can watch multiple times, like 1,000 times of those motivational video, but they still feel demotivated tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? Because if you listen to it, you can see the same thing that got repeated is that you need to work hard, you need to discipline, you need to be consistent and all that. Like you already know things in those motivational video. But the reason why you have to still watch it, because you don't go out and you do anything, and it's not about those things that you listen to, but how can you really accept that you're not doing anything, and you go out, you start doing the work, and then you need a goal too, right? So coach and mentor is someone that can help you set a goal, set a right expectation, and when you fail, you don't hit that goal, they reflect with you. But if you don't have that person, then no one can point out your blind spot. No one can really tell you your weakness, right? And that's how it's hard, because you don't know what you don't know, right? And it's already called blind spot, which means we cannot see. And if we don't have like someone who be able to like take a look and point out things, then we always gonna reflect wrong, and we figure out a wrong solution, and we wasting time. Yeah, I mean, you can still make it there. You take your time to make it to succeed. But then if you want to succeed young and early and you want to go fast, then you must have a mentor. You must have a coach. Because if you look at anyone who want to play anything that pro, like professional, they always have coach. Unless you just want to play at the amateur level, or you just want to play it for fun, then you don't need a coach, right? In any sport, if you look at it. If you want to play soccer for fun, then you don't need to hire any coach. But if you want to go to competition, making money out of it, then you need someone to coach you. Yeah. So I think like in this business, we offer that mentorship for free, not in terms of cost, but we do look at people's attitude to know who we should invest time in. I have 24 hours, so even though I want to help like millions of people, I don't have that availability. Yeah, so the attitude is what we look at, and then the commitment, the time, so it's not really about the money, because we don't charge money for this whole mentorship thing or the material we're giving out for you so far. We don't charge money for that, because we do look for right partners, real business partner who come in and help us to make the business big, because I can make like way more money, if I can help you to grow your business than charging you on those little things, So I hope it's kind of answer your question.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, yeah.
No,
Thank you,
Quan,
for, like I said, coming in today, to meet Brian and talk with him. I know hopefully, I know next weekend we have an upcoming event, a business seminar for the weekend. And I wanted to let Brian know about that, actually today I will give you more details shortly about, that event where, the whole team, everyone here included, is going to be driving down to San Luis Obispo to attend that business seminar, and we wanted to see, if you were able to come with us, Brian, so you can be able to, see Quan in person, see us again, and we have, a lot of, leaders and people succeeding in the business that we want to introduce you to, that, we think they can help you out, from your perspective as a candidate, right?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'd love to learn more information about the event.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that throughout this next slideshow we're gonna go over. But again, I just want to say, thank you, Quan, for spending, an hour today to talk to Brian. And this isn't the last time you're gonna see Quan. Obviously, she's our coach, so you can reach out to her at any time. I think we can even, add her into that little group chat that we have going on, so you can be able to reach out to her for any questions and concerns. We definitely encourage that. But yeah, thank you again, Quan. Chris, you got anything?
No, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Before you leave,
Quan,
I
I
also
want
want
to say thank you, for coming in. Giving us an hour of your time. It shows a lot. How you wanna,
help us, but also, yeah, we're also connecting with Brian today. But we know your time is valuable. We don't want to take up too much of your time. I know we still have a little slideshow for Brian, so we don't want to keep it too long. But we just want to say thank you. And yeah,
Quan.
All right, yeah. So I hope to see you in person soon, Brian. And yeah, good luck with your process moving on. Yeah, feel free to reach out to me. So yes, you guys have a nice day.
All right.
Thank you, Quan.
See you later.
All
All
right.
right.
Awesome, dude. That was cool, dude. I love the mindset that she was sharing right there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think about her, Brian, after meeting her for the first time?
Me too. That's what I was thinking.
Really bright.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
I love just the attitude she was giving out too, to be honest, and the advice.
Yeah. What were some things, that kind of resonated with you that she shared?
Yeah, it's really basically about it's really about me.
Mhm.
Like I'm the one that has to do a lot of the work, like build myself,
Mm.
reach out for help and get those skills. That way, I could basically build on myself and then be able to build on people as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's great to hear, because like she said before, as a candidate through the process, you have, those three major questions.
Yeah.
Is it legit? We talked about already. We can always talk about it again if you have any questions about that. Can you do it? Which is, what you talked about right there. That's why Quan emphasized, the importance of mentorship, allowing, the people to help you. And then finally, is it worth it? Which is what, you're in the process for. Like Quan said, we're not expecting people to commit fully right away until they're fully clear on those three questions. Right. So we actually did, like we said, we had a little slideshow we wanted to go over with you, and it'll talk a little bit more about, how exactly we build a business and what it looks like. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen right now. Let me know if you guys can see it.
I don't really see it. Oh, there we go. You got it.
Is that good?
Is that good? You can see, right?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah,
here we're just gonna talk a little bit more about, how exactly we build a business. Might answer a few questions that you have, and a little bit more about partnership expectations. So for, just to like go backwards a little bit, network marketing itself, you kind of understand how that works, right? Or
Yeah.
can you give me like, your best explanation on like network marketing?
Yeah, we're basically the consumers, or you could see us as the independent business owners, and we're basically gonna use our products that we get from our company or the company that we're partnering with, the partnership, and we go out there and we sell the products to basically our friends and family, and then the big part is trying to get, like here it says total strangers, but basically it would be total strangers. You're trying to reach out, you're trying to get people to, you're trying to build partners, business partners, you're trying to sell to random people, and like a new, what do you call it? To a new target market.
Yeah.
Or not new target market, but to a new, somebody else.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So you kind of get, the understanding of it, so basically for network marketing, or not just network marketing, but, any e-commerce business as a whole, pretty much what you are is a middleman, and your job is to bridge the gap between two different networks, meaning, the product and service that you're offering and the people out there who might need them, right? So obviously the first objection that comes with that is having those products and services, but luckily we are able to partner with Amway, which is where we get to leverage, the products, services, and compensation plan. And then that's where it's, up to us to be able to close that gap to people out there, right? Who are looking for these products and services. So to just go over, the ways we make money again quickly in network marketing. Again, shopping, switching your shopping habits, to be able to get that retail margin. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that later because I'm sure you've noticed, Amway's product line, and there's obviously a reason that we choose to focus on products like that because there are everyday use products that even you, me, Chris, everybody uses, right? Obviously, when you have access to these products is when you're able to sell them and make profit through that. But what really separates us about from any other e-commerce platform is our ability to franchise out the royalty fee, right? Because now, yes, you're bridging the gap, but not just about products, but you're looking to expand your business. And that might make a little bit more sense when we, talk about the next part, which is, a little bit in deeper about how we make money, about the compensation plan. Remember last time we talked about it a little bit, the percentages on the performance bonus schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, really quickly, different ways, retail margin, I just talked about that a little bit. But what we talked about last time was this performance bonus schedule. Remember PV and BV, right? So obviously, you can't, it's a lot hard it's pretty hard to move up that performance bonus schedule by yourself. I don't expect, not everybody can sell thousands of dollars of products every single month, which is why, when it comes to expanding your business, you're looking for people to help you with that task of, generating revenue. But another one of the biggest ways to make money when it comes to partnering with Amway is through these incentives. And basically, when you look at the performance bonus schedule itself, it's pretty difficult to make a significant income while, going to the top, right? While on your way to that 7,500 limit, to start breaking into some of the incentives. So what Amway generously does is that, about every 3 to 4 years is that they add these incentives that give people like us, who are currently in that journey, building the foundation of our business. It gives us some opportunities to make income as well. So there's a lot of different ones that Amway offers, but some of the most important ones that you should focus on is the Bronze Foundation incentive, the Bronze Builders incentive. We can talk about those a little bit next time, but with certain qualifications in building the business, you can be able to earn up to a 30% and a 40% multiplier on the total BV you get every month. So yeah, I'll go ahead and click on that so I can kind of show you what that looks like. We just skip a little bit past this. This is the one I was talking about, Bronze Foundation incentive. So, like I said, it's a 30% multiplier once you're qualified for this on your total performance bonus. And basically, what the qualification looks like is having 3 different organizations and having them reach the 3% margin on the performance bonus schedule. So you can see kind of what that looks like right here, and that's where you get a 30% bonus, right? And then you can kind of see what that looks like. And then the following one, they're kind of like stepping stones. You can see these incentives, like one kind of leads into the other. And essentially, like I said, it's helping you build that foundation on your way to some of the bigger pins. So similarly, like this one, like the last one, this one's a little bit more with those 3 organizations, a total of 2,500 PV in revenue, with each organization breaking at least the 6% bracket. And this is the one that gives you the 40% multiplier. So a lot more, and you can kind of see what that looks like. But the cool thing about these incentives is that you can actually stack them on each other. These 2 that I just showed you, you can kind of jump the gun there. Yeah, you can actually stack them on top of each other and earn up to a 70% multiplier on your total BV paid out to. So basically, this is how college students like us have an opportunity to make more income than some people working full time, for example. But obviously that comes with time, commitment, effort. But just so you're kind of aware of some of those incentives. And actually, the most important one that I wanted to mention to you is a new one that was recently added. Actually, it's called Strong Start. start incentive,
Mhm.
and this one is very specifically for new people who just launched their businesses. So let's say you finish the process. For example, this is something you want to look more into. This will help you, partner with Amway, sign up and get access to the products and services, and that's where you'll be able to earn that strong start incentive right away. And I know Chris currently right now is somebody reaping all the benefits from that incentive. So maybe he can talk a little bit about that.
No, yeah. So
Oh yeah,
like I actually started, finished the
finished the
process about
process
like
about
I'd say what maybe like 8 months ago, 9 months
9 months
ago,
ago,
and so
and so
I'm
I'm
close,
close
to like the
like the
12-month
12
mark,
month
because
mark. Because
if you're consistent for
consistent for
12
12
months,
months,
being able to generate 150 PV,
PV,
obviously customers, yourself, using the products,
products,
just sharing the
just sharing the
products in
products in
reality.
reality.
If you're able to
If you're able to
consistently do that,
consistently do that,
for
for
3 months you get a
$3
hundred dollar bonus,
bonus,
and then for
and then
six
for
months
six
you get
months you get
what was it,
a
a
$300
$300 bonus, and
bonus,
then
and then
for the
for
12
the
months you
12
get a
months you get a
$600
$600
bonus.
bonus.
So
So
through a whole
through a
year,
whole year,
you get
you
a
will get
thousand
a
dollar
$1,000
bonus, and that's
bonus, and
something
that's
I've
something
been
I've
just
been just
doing,
doing
very easily,
very
because
easily
I
because
had like
I had
a
like
really
a
big
really
grand
big grand
opening,
opening,
and
and
something
yeah,
told
something
to help me
told to
with,
help me
something
with,
that
something that
Francisco helped me
Francisco helped
with,
me with,
and
Yeah.
that's something
that's something
we usually do,
usually
for
do,
our
for
brand new
brand new
launches,
launches,
to help
to
them
help
gain
them gain
customers, and
customers, and
see
see,
that that
that
this is
this
something
is something
that can actually
that can actually
generate income.
generate income.
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, you can see from Chris, the incentive was very new. It like just got added when he finished the process and launched into the business. And because Chris, worked so closely with me, with Francisco, with Juan,
Yeah,
is where we helped him get a blazing star and all those customers, and that's how he's getting the full incentive.
yeah, yeah.
Right. So I'm kind of jealous, right? Because when I was new, there was no incentive like that. I'm
Yeah.
like, where's my chance to make some money, right? But no, I'm happy for Chris, and everyone else in my team that's getting that incentive. And then obviously, let's say you finish the process, that's something we want to help you achieve as well.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I want to see everybody eat. But yeah, we can talk more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you said it was called the strong what incentive?
Strong start incentive. So you can actually search it up as well on
Yeah.
Amway's website. You can look a little bit into it. Any questions that you have, you can ask us as well. And you kind of notice from Chris at what he said, and it's similar for all these incentives. It's about like a 12-month span.
Yeah,
That you have to consistently earn these bonuses, and you have to be consistent for those 12 months. Like if you miss a few months, then
Yeah.
the qualification ends, and you miss out. And there's a reason for that, and that's what I wanted to talk about. Kind of clicked the wrong slide.
Oh yeah,
So.
I was actually I could add on to that, and I was gonna ask Tony, like what's like the mindset behind that, like why does Amway want to see that consistency rather than just the intensity.
That's a good question, and I was gonna get to it, but I think I clicked the wrong button.
No,
So, give me a second to go back to the right slide. Wow, this one. There we go. Let me share my screen again. You guys see it?
Let me see.
Not yet.
Loading right now.
It's loading.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah. So if I click the right button, there we go. This is the slide that I want. So, like I mentioned before, all of those incentives are kind of building blocks that are building your foundation leading up to some of these big pins. Because if you notice from the performance bonus schedule, the last the brackets is at 7,500 PV, which is, you can see right here, is about $22,000 in products. So when you, and obviously your team, right? Like I don't think you can sell $22,000 in products, right? That's a lot, right? When you and your team are able to do that for 1 month, is where you'll be able to be a silver in the business, which is actually what Quan, remember we talked to you a little bit. She's actually a brand new silver because last month we did 7,500 PV. So if she's able to do it again for next month and the month after that, 3 months, is where she'll be gold in the business, the gold incentive. And then when she's able to do it for 6 months, is where she can be a brand new platinum business, having her whole team generate 7,500 PV for those 6 months.
Yeah.
And you can see that's kind of what the average income that platinums are receiving in the business. Obviously, while building this on the side, right? Like I think you saw from Juan, she's still working her job, but having those two sources of income is something I admire a lot. And back to the platinum incentive, if you're able to do this for 12 consecutive months, is where you can be break the founder's platinum incentive in the business. And it's basically like pretty much almost double this check, right? Which is a lot more. And it goes back to the question that Chris asked earlier on the reason why. And that's because Amway pays their businesses based on consistency, based on longevity, based on sustainability. They want to say, okay, you can do it one. They don't care if you can do it 1 month. They want to see how many months you can do it consistently.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why you see a lot of those incentives are have a 12-month range, because we want people to build long-lasting, sustainable, healthy businesses, right? And luckily, Amway's compensation plan aligns really well with that. So that's pretty much the first major incentive that people are looking out here to get. And like I said, when it comes to here in California, LA as well, right? You know, here in the Bay Area, very expensive,
Yeah.
right? But I think for a platinum income, maybe in like another state like Ohio, Idaho, or Texas or whatever, it could be enough. But for us, or for me at least, I plan on staying here in California.
Yeah.
It's not enough for me, right? So that's why I'm always looking to look higher into the better incentives. Which the next key one I want to talk about is the Emerald incentive, because this is the one where I can start to give myself options here in California, where I can go tell my boss that maybe I don't want to work 4 days this week, only 3. Or maybe I only need to work 2 days. Or maybe if I was fully committed, then I don't even need that job anymore. Right. So this is kind of that pin where you can start thinking like that. Obviously, it's different for everyone, but just to give you a little reference point, because now to break this pin, you already did 7,500 PV. Right, you proved that you and your business can do it. Now the next thing that Amway looks at is your leadership.
Yeah.
How well you were able to duplicate what you did. How well you are able to teach somebody what you did, so they can do the same. So for example, let's say our coach Quan, for example, let's say she helps our team go platinum 7,500. She helps her other organization go platinum. She helps another one of her organizations go platinum. So when her 3 organizations all do the same thing she did, is when she can qualify as a new member. And you can see, kind of the average. Obviously, it's different for everybody, but on average, what people are earning there. And same thing as those other incentives. For a 12-month span, if you do it, you can get a lot more than this. So this is where you can start to give yourself options. And then obviously the diamond level in the business, that's pretty much full financial freedom. Right, is where it's similar to Emerald, except being able to teach 6 people how to do the same thing you did. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So obviously, when it comes to these incentives, there's a lot more. You can see right here, some of the ones that are in between, some of the ones that are a lot higher up. You can see right here. But it all comes down to, like Juan mentioned before, your expectation when it comes to business, because everybody comes here for a different reason. Like for me, for example, I just want to build, enough capital so I can begin to start investing and living off my money. So that would be around these type of pin ranges, right? But for some people, they build this business not so much for the money, but for the love of helping people. Like my mentor Phil, for example, who's in the diamond qualification, but he still puts a lot of time and effort in his business, because he's not doing this for money, but he's doing this because he loves impacting people like us.
Yeah.
And changing their lives for the better. That's his definition of success. It may be different for everybody. So that's why, maybe on the higher levels, money is not their issue, but their biggest priority is building a legacy, leaving an impact on this world. And like I said, that's just to give you a reference point. Like I said, but the ones that we went over were some of the major pin levels that you want to focus on, right? All good? Any questions here?
I'm good for now.
Okay. Yeah. So now we know platinum is the first major incentive we want to hit. So the question is, how do we get there? So like I said, 7,500 PV. The only 2 things that Amway looks at to pay your business is 1, revenue, which is how much PV you and your team did in that month. and your network, which is the size of your team, not just the size of your team, but the structure
Yeah.
of your team as well, which is very important, which we talked about last time when we talked about the compensation plan. Those are the only two things that Amway looks at to factor, do you qualify for this incentive? Should we pay you this much? So when it comes to that, obviously you're building your team so you can eventually hit 7,500 PV. And like we talked about before, when the performance bonus schedule, it resets every month back to zero, right? So that's why, between the team, it's important to like evenly distribute how much PV everyone does through our personal PV standard. So this will give you a little bit of a reference point on like what it looks like to build business. So let's say us, for example, the market that we focus on is mostly college students, right?
Yeah.
Like college students, young professionals, so we understand that when it comes to us, we don't exactly have so much capital to invest on a business right away. Which is why, we maintain that 150 PV standard, which doesn't mean, it means, it's capable for people like us, still in school, working, able to do something like that. So if let's say everyone on the team is doing 150 PV, to hit 7,500, you need 50 people. They all do the same amount. You need 50 people. That's how you get to 7,500. But you can see it doesn't have to be so robotic. Because let's say Chris, for example, right? He's someone that can get customers, sell products very easily, which is why he's able to raise his PV standard, let's say to 300, for example. So when he's able to teach his team how to do the same thing, then you can see he only needs 25 people to go platinum.
Yeah.
And similar, like let's say 250 PV standard, you only need 30 people. So you can see it's kind of flexible, right? And obviously you want to factor in things like maybe someone does a lot, maybe someone does 600, while maybe some people only do 50, right? It's very different, but this is kind of just to give you a reference point that, the only two things that matter is size and structure of your team and the personal PV standard. How much PV are people doing?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have any questions at any time or need me to repeat something, feel free to let me know. We're kind of just gonna go through this. Like I said, the only two things. So we're gonna talk about both of them. The first one is building a network, which is building a team. Because when it comes to choosing business partners and who we want to work with, obviously what we do is take people through the process, kind of like you right now.
Yeah.
So this is what our selection process looks like. Right. So I remember when we originally met, you came to our workshop event, which was on at UC Merced, right?
Yeah.
Attention, the library will close in 30 minutes. There are no extended study hours for SJSU Spartans. Everyone must exit the building by 6 p.m. Once again, the library will close in 30 minutes.
Sorry about that. Maybe real quick. But yeah. This is the process, right? So what was I saying? When we met,
The workshop.
I'm UC Merced, when you came to our workshop and you met me, you met Francisco, you met Chris. I don't know if you knew Chris already, but after you joined that event is where we sat down for a little bit, and we didn't talk so much about business, right?
Yeah.
We just got to know each other a little bit more,
Yeah.
right? And that's where, after that event was where we talked a little bit more about the business model. I think you did with Chris, right? I think did you guys talk a little bit more about the business model before?
Yeah, we talked a little bit more about
Yeah.
that.
Before you joined Tuesday's meeting, which was the third step, right? And then now, which was, here where we're talking today. So this is pretty much the same selection process that we take everybody through. It doesn't matter if it's someone's girlfriend, someone's best friend, someone's mom, someone's dog. Doesn't matter, right? Obviously, we take people through the same process. So when you eventually launch and are looking to expand your business is where you'll have to do the same. Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to work with just anybody in my business, right? Because if you look at Amway's business plan, I can only benefit if I help you benefit. So I'm only looking for people who are willing to honor their side of the partnership. Right, so that's why I have a high standard of who I look for. So which is why I'm grateful for our selection process to kind of give you an understanding of what the mindset of the process is and taking people through it is that it's kind of a filtering process. Because what you can understand, I mean, if you were to ask Chris, if you were to ask me, we've shown this business opportunity to many people, talk to them about business, talk to them about mentorship, and ask them, what exactly they're looking for. And, not everybody sees the same thing we do. Maybe not everyone is interested in building passive income. Not everyone's into business, and that's understandable, right? Like Juan mentioned before, people are either looking for opportunity or they're not, right? They're either okay with where they are in life or they're looking for something better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only looking to work with people who are looking for something better because that's how our business can help benefit them. So to kind of show you an example of what I'm talking about is it's essentially a numbers game. So if when it comes to taking people through the process, let's say you start with 100 people. We meet with them, we get to know them a little bit. We're not talking so much about business right away, but I want to understand who they are. What are their values? What are they looking for? How we can be business partners. And a lot of the time, people they don't like that. They want to know so much about my business right away. They want to know about what products we have, how much incentives they're looking to get. And I always tell them straight up, I don't feel comfortable sharing with someone I don't even know who they are about my business. So if they're not able to sit down with me and just get to know me for a little bit, I can already tell they won't be a good business partner going forward.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're like, okay, that makes sense. Sometimes they're like, no, I still want to know more. Tell me right now. Then I'm more than willing to just walk away from that person.
Yeah.
Because that speaks a lot about somebody. So let's say you start with 100 and you have a few people like that, and only 80 move on to the next step, where they talk a little bit more about network marketing, where we expose them to some objections like the pyramid scheme and how it's different. And some people, they're open-minded to hear how it's different. But sometimes when people see that, they get so influenced, they get so negative. The reason why we don't talk about network marketing or Amway or our type of direct selling business model right away is because what I've seen from my experiences is that young people lack the ability to evaluate a business. They lack, that information, the critical thinking to evaluate does something make sense. So I'm willing to talk them through that, but sometimes they're not able to. Again, I never try and convince anybody. I put the information out there, and I want to see how someone evaluates a business, how someone makes a decision. And sometimes they don't make a logical decision. Like I said, it's not, something I can control. So only, let's say, 60 move on to the next step. They see the business plan, and maybe they knew somebody, like a family member that did Amway before. And maybe they spread a lot of negatives about their experiences, without any context. And maybe they got influenced by that. Like Chris, for example, before, right? Maybe like if Chris never reached back out to me, then he probably, we wouldn't have never talked again.
Yeah.
That's happened before. So only a few people move on, let's say, to this step. We go through this whole slideshow. That doesn't mean anything, right? That doesn't mean they're guaranteed anything. Maybe they didn't like what they saw. That's fine. Only a few people move on, and you can see that, less and less people move on. You start with 100, but only 15 end up launching to be your business partner.
Yeah.
So when people kind of look at that, they kind of have the wrong expectation to see, oh, this is the type of business you put so much work in just to not get anything in return. But what I know across the mindset of this selection process is that it's a filtering system, because you ended up with 15, you ended up with the right 15.
Yeah.
You identified who are those people. If someone is able to go through a 7-step selection process, then that says a lot to me about what type of business partner they're going to be. Right. At that time is where I get to build trust with someone. I want to see how they communicate with me. I want to battle test them. I want to see what are those things they're capable of. And I mean, to be honest, if you were to ask me, I would much rather have someone tell me straight up, let's say at one of these steps, that this isn't something for them, that it's not something they want to do. I'd rather have them tell me during the process than have them tell me when I'm depending on them, when I'm relying on them, when I'm running for my platinumship.
Yeah.
I'd rather have them put on me before I waste any more of my time and any more of their time. Right. So That's why I'm grateful for our selection process because that's how I can identify who are the right people
Yeah.
that I want to work with.
So
So
this is just a reference point.
Obviously, it's not this exact number every time. Maybe a few people more move on from this step, or less people move on from that step. It's different for everybody, right? And like Juan mentioned before, it depends on somebody's skill set. It depends on the way they do things, and that's obviously something you'll see more down the line. But what I want to talk about is the good thing about this business is that it's actually in your control,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which it may not seem that way, right? Like let's say this step here today, there's no way I can convince you to, join this, right? There's no way I can force you to find value in this, right? That's not in my control. The only thing I can control is how many people I give the opportunity to. How many people I at least give them a chance to see what we're doing, to see if this is something that can help them. That's the only thing I can't control if they like it. I can't control if it's for them or if it aligns with their goals. I can only control if I showed it to them, if I at least gave them the chance to see,
Opportunity to see it.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, right. And when you compare this to other, ways of building an asset, like for example, I used to do day trading in the stock market. And when you blindly, put your money in, you realize that something like that is not in your control, right?
Yeah.
My control. Real estate, right? Not in your control.
No.
So that's something, obviously that really stuck with me about this type of business model because even when it comes to, like, let's say a corporate job, for example, you can't control what type of raise you're gonna get.
Yeah.
You can't control any type of promotion, right? So that's, just kind of to give you a reference point on, what exactly it looks like to take people through the process. And obviously, that's something we can help you with
Yeah.
more down the way. But this is just so you can see. Another thing I want to show you that you can see right here on the top that generally these first few steps of the process only take a few weeks, but the last few steps take a little bit more time because, like I said, it gives both sides a chance to really evaluate each other and
Yeah.
see, do we meet each other's standards of a business partner. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So moving on to the next slide, to kind of dig deeper into it, because like I said, you started with 100 and you ended up with 15, but those 15, we said they were the right 15. It may not be that, right? Because people think that finishing the process is like the milestone they want to hit. Like, okay, like I put in so much work to finish the process and launch my business. I mean, that's not even getting started, right? Launching your business is just getting started, right?
Yeah.
Finishing the process is getting started, right? It's not the achievement. So when people actually go out and start having those experiences building business, you're gonna see that you're working with different types of business partners. Some of them might be prosumers,
Yeah.
like Juan mentioned before. She was someone that was able to build a team very fast, but a lot of those people aren't even here today.
Yeah.
Like you said, maybe after a few months, maybe they lost their job and needed more time on that, or maybe they did something, or whatever reason, right? Maybe the business isn't their main priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot
A lot of the time when I see these types of people, they are people that still buy products from Amway. Because regardless of building the business or not, there's no denying the fact that Amway has quality products. I mean, people can obviously do their own research on that. So generally, and the fact that having an Amway account means you can get those products discounted. So these people generally still use products. They're not building business. They're not someone I'm relying on. They're not someone I'm counting on to help me grow my team. But they're welcome on my team because any PV that they do helps my goal of 7,500. Right? Like I said, I'm not gonna spend my time, too much effort, worrying about them. I understand the expectation that they're not looking to build business, but still welcome on my team. Right?
Let's say if you're a prosumer at that time, like you said, somebody that could just have other priorities that they have to do.
Mhm.
Let's say a year later or months later, half a year, they could come back and then become a core committed, or how would that really work?
And I mean, yeah, like we understand that life
Yeah.
happens,
Yeah.
right? But what we look for in a business partner is that open communication,
Yeah.
that back and forth. Like we understand that things happen, but we all want to be on the same page about these things, right? Like, it's also something, we can help with as well because, obviously what we want is people to spend more time with the mentorship, right? And we're able to help them, like Juan said before, with their budget, with their schedule, so that can be the case. But to be honest, I think a bigger answer to that question would be if you were to see it for yourself, to come around to one of our in-person meetings to see who are these types of people. I can tell you right now, when let's say from my experiences, when I were to take a break to, be stressed out about, let's say, finals or a bunch of things going on in my life back when I lost my job, where I needed to spend more time on those urgent things. And that's what kind of gave me that awkwardness, that kind of self-doubt to come back. But when I did come back to the team, I saw how everybody welcomed me. Everyone was very understanding. Everybody was concerned about my problems. And when you look at, the outside environment at your workplace, or let's say outside friends and things like that, that's hardly ever the case. It's where people say like, "Oh, I know." Like, it's a lot different, but obviously, no. We're very understanding people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's
So, yeah, that's something, obviously I want you to see for yourself. But moving on from that, those are some of the types of people that you meet in your business. Another type of people that you meet is through,
Attention, the
oh,
light
sorry.
room will close in 15 minutes. There are no extended study hours for SJSU partners. Everyone must exit the building by 6 p.m. Once again, the light room will close in 15 minutes.
We gotta make it quick, bro.
Okay, yeah. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and quickly finish this off. But yeah, the next part I want to talk about is you're gonna meet some developing business partners. And to give you a reference point on what that looks like, I would say I'm the biggest example. Because if you look back at my selection process, back like what 2 years ago when I was working with Juan, things like that in my freshman year of college, I was very unsure about things. I took around 4 to 5 months in my selection process, and I would tell you that the reason for that was because I was someone who had a lot of questions. I mean, not so much about, is the business legit? I mean, if you look at the facts and the numbers, you understand that it is. But I had doubts and questions on whether I was someone who could do it.
yeah.
I was someone who was very introverted, and I didn't see how someone like me could build a people's business.
Yeah.
But the problem with me was that I had those questions, I had those concerns, but I did not bring them up to anybody. I just kept them to myself, and they all like bottled up, right? And that's what caused me to spend more time in the selection process.
Yeah.
And not even after that, starting my business for 6 months, not much results, not much things going for me, no really any sales, not really expanding my business. And I understood that I had kind of that slow start. But eventually, I mean, you see me now. I can show the business plan. I can talk very confidently about my business. I just need to take time.
Yeah.
I needed time for my coach, Juan, my coach, Luke, to help me grow myself, help teach me on how I can build this business. And because I was open to it, I made it easy for them to help me. That's how I was able to change so fast. So you're gonna meet people like that too, and these people are always welcome on my team because I'm someone who's a big believer in change.
Yeah.
I'm someone who believes that sometimes maybe what people need is just time. And I'm always here for them. But unfortunately, I only have 24 hours in my day. I understand that people take time, but I'm looking to scale up my business now, right? I want to retire myself in my 20s. You know what I mean? So the people I choose to build my business around is those that are core and committed. And like I said, when you launch people in the business, you're gonna get all three types of people.
Yeah.
One you should definitely spend your most time with is people that have that commitment right away. And I think the best example I could say for this one is Chris, actually. Because when he was in the process, yes, he had a few of those objections, like, is the business legit? But once we were able to clear that for him, once we were able to show him that it was, when he got started right away.
Yeah.
Quick start, core and committed right away. And this is how his team was able to blow up right away. So these are the people that I choose to focus, a lot more, because this is where the exponential growth comes in. Because once I was able to launch Chris, now it's not just my own efforts in growing the team, but it's mine and his. So we're still getting these amount of people, but from both for both of us. So we do get a lot more of these, but we also get a lot more of these.
Yeah.
So then now it's not just me and Chris, but it's all of us working together to grow the team. And you can see what that exponential growth continues to look like. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the first five are very hard to get, but once you have five, it's a lot easier to get to 10.
Yeah.
Once you have 10, it's a lot easier to get to 20. Once you have 20, it's a lot easier to get to 50. But like I said, the first five, there's 10 are very difficult.
Yeah.
So
The hardest.
that's something, obviously, when it comes to building a business, there's no such thing as get rich quick. And similarly, following our, business, our plan, the same thing that our mentors and coaches taught us, is where we have generally about a 3 to 5 year game plan if you're working with the mentorship and committed into the business. But obviously, it's different for everybody, right? Some people take more time. Say our coach Luke, for example, you met Luke, right? He was someone that also was stuck, similar case like me with some of the problems, but took a little bit more time, but they still made it. Or someone like my mentor who took less time because he was more committed right away. So it's different for everybody, but this is just to give you a little bit of a reference point.
Yeah.
So moving on past this, to talk a little bit more about these developing business partners, which is what the toners, right? Like I said, I mean, you see me today, right? I can talk about my business very confidently. I can take people through the process and help grow my own business. And the reason for that is because one day I had a sit down talk with another one of my coaches, and he was the one to tell me how it was. That at my pace, it would take forever for me to go platinum. And I was like, man, I don't want that. So that's when I decided to work closer with them, so I can continue to grow my business. But with these same people, people who end up on the other side.
Yeah.
They don't end up like me, but they end up deciding that this isn't something for them. They end up like the other kind. And the reason for that is because they don't use the mentorship. The process you're going through right now is not to qualify for Amway. Because for Amway, you can sign up at any time. All you need is a sponsor number. But the process you're going to is to qualify for the mentorship.
Yeah.
People qualify for it, they earn it, but sometimes they don't even use it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you see some people end up on the other side.
Yeah.
So another thing I want to talk about is that yes, this is a duplication business, meaning that once you have a team of people, is where they look at you as the example.
Yeah.
You are the one to show them what it looks like to build a team. So when you show them the good things, right? Like I said, if Chris is able to show his team how to make sales, I'm able to show my team how to take people through the process like I do.
Yeah.
That's how we can, break platinums and emeralds and diamonds. Help people break platinums and emeralds and diamonds. But similarly, they see the good things, they'll see the bad things as well.
Yeah.
Like for example, what if I told you, Brian, that you have to do 300 PV in sales this month, but you see me do 0? How would that make you feel?
Tough, to be honest.
Yeah, right. Or what if Chris said, like, you have to join this meeting, but then you text him he's at the beach or something?
Yeah.
You wouldn't feel good about that, right?
Nah.
Like I said, it's similarly for when you have a team that you have to set the example, because they'll see the good things you do, they'll do the good things you do, they'll see the bad things they'll see, and they'll duplicate that as well. So that's something to keep in mind, definitely a little bit more down the line when it comes to having a team. But when it comes to those two things that we talked about so far, building a network and generating revenue, it doesn't sound too bad, right? Like nothing, it's not impossible, right? These two things are very simple. But like, Kwan talked about earlier, there's a lot of things that get in the way of people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that stop somebody from being able to build a business. And these are those roadblocks in life, right? These little foundations. Like you can see a lot of them here on the screen. Like I mentioned before, I was someone who wasn't willing to speak up. Well, how come? There was, many reasons for that. Maybe a lack of trust. Maybe I didn't know how to explain myself. But it's these little things that stop me from building a team. It's these little things that stop me from going out and making sales. And it's different for everybody, right? Because maybe let's say you're good at time management, but Chris isn't,
Yeah.
right? Or maybe I have a strong work ethic, but you don't, right? Or maybe Chris went through a lot more trauma than you and me did, right? So you can see there's all these different little things. And if you look really closely into them, most of them aren't even business related. Most of these are just common foundations that people need in this world when it comes to working with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
And the way we're able to overcome these is through the mentorship, right? This is something my mentor always says is if you don't let me coach you in life, don't ever talk to me about business.
Yeah.
True, right? Because if I were to fail my classes, then obviously I would need to spend more time studying, less time for business. Or if Chris can't, budget his finances, how can I trust him to budget his business's income?
Yeah.
Right? Like these things obviously all connect. Like let's say, let's say Chris's girlfriend breaks up with him, for example, right? Maybe he go, be a little bit more down, right? Have less focus on the business. So all these things connect, which is why, we don't just try and help people when it comes to business, but this is 360-degree mentorship, which means that I want to help you in every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
I don't want you to succeed in this business. I want you to succeed in your career. I want you to succeed with your relationship. I want you to succeed with your family and what you do for them. I want you to succeed with the legacy and impact that you leave on this world. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, because and it's something we're very open about, right? Anything, I mean, if you look at some of these objections here on the screen, is there any that resonate with you that kind of stick out and like, hey, this one, I have this one, but maybe not that one?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Like what are some of them?
Something that I do for sure see right away, time management, work ethic.
Mm,
But something that I don't could be,
uh-huh.
let's see, people skills, maybe fear of failure.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
that's kind of it.
Is there any other ones that you see? Maybe one that's like
Some
maybe
trauma,
not.
maybe a little bit of ego, just a little bit of some, but
Attention, the line will close in 5 minutes. There are
and
no
then needing a
extended
skill
study hours
set
for SJSU Spartans. Everyone must exit the building
for
by 6
sure.
p.m. Once again, the line will close in 5
And then
minutes.
some that I'm good at could be the
Yeah, because some of these you might have right now, and some you might not have, but maybe next, like let's say in the future you build a team, let's say you have a few people you're leading, maybe you lose like the fear of rejection, but you develop a lot more ego,
Yeah.
right? Or become worse at time management. So, like I say, these are things that come and go, but they're common amongst all of us,
Yeah.
right? Like if you generalize everybody that not just builds, a network marketing business, but any type of asset, is that these are the things that hold them back.
Right.
But the difference between us and any other asset out there is that we have access to this mentorship.
Yeah.
And when these people have this qualified success, is where we can help. Like I said, we brought in Kwan because she is someone like let's say, me for example. Let's say maybe I was someone that didn't have the best critical thinking.
yeah.
Then I can't teach you how to have good critical thinking, right? Because I don't, right? Then how am I or what if Chris, like I said, he has bad time management. He can't teach you how to have good time management.
Yeah.
Which is why, we leverage. That's why we asked Juan earlier, to come into the meeting, because there's some things like balancing work, school, and business. Man, I still have a lot of trouble with that.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'd be the best person to kind of give you advice on that. So that's why she's someone that we want you to access at any time. There's no limit to if you can reach out to her or not, because I can tell you she's a lot more qualified to help you out on certain things compared to me or Chris, for example, right?
Yeah.
So is there any other ones that kind of stick out to you for a bit, or is that kind of it? If that's just it, I just wanted you to kind of be, aware of some of those because, like I said, it wouldn't be the last time you see Kwan. Like I said, you can reach out to her at any time. Because, like I said, it's very hard to get her time when she's leading a big team. So when we do have that opportunity, it's important that we can ask questions, to help out some of our problems like these. You know what I mean? So definitely, keep that in mind maybe the next time. But to really just quickly finish up right here, you can see this is kind of like I said, Quan is someone you can reach out to at any time. But I really want you to understand this line of sponsorship that you have, because these are all people that have an incentive to help you. Like I said, they don't make money until they help you make money. So these are people, like I said, my mentor has someone, he has a team of over like almost 1,000 people. He still has reason to help each and every single one of them.
Yeah.
So to kind of give you understanding of what that looks like, this is you down here. The blue circle says you, can obviously, right? And your sponsor is the one that introduced the business opportunity to you. So in this case, it would be Chris, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your upline would be the ones who help Chris, which would be me, for example. Or another example would be Francisco, right? I met him earlier. He was the one who sponsored me into the business. So he would also be your upline. And these are people that you have access to, that they can help you. They're willing to help you build your business. And similarly to that is our coach, Quan, and Luke, Luke as well, right? We are a part of their team, and these are people, like I said, that don't just have results, but can teach people how to do it for themselves. So they are someone who also has incentive to help us, and even our mentor. The reason we call Phil and Luna our mentors is because they're financially free.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I look at to know if someone can be my mentor. Do they have what I want? And they do. So like I said, all of these people you have access to, so they can help you build and scale up your business. But oh wait, give me a second.
Attention, the library is now closed. Please exit the building at this time. There are no extended study hours for SJSU Spartans. Everyone must exit the building. Once again, the library is now closed for everyone. Have a safe evening.
Yeah, because we're at the
library right now.
It's actually shutting down.
So.
I think it goes. Yeah, exactly.
But really quickly, just to finish up about this. Like I said, you have access to all of these people to help you with the business. And like I said, maybe someone like Juan or Luke, they can help you with something maybe better than I can, maybe better than can. But the problem with that is they don't have enough time. Like I said, they have a team of, let's say 30 to 50 people. Our mentor has over 500, close to 1,000 people. Why should they spend time to help you? The reason we know who to spend time for is we look for someone's attitude.
Yeah.
What I look for in a candidate, like you've mentioned before, you're not the only candidate going through our selection process.
Yeah.
We have a lot of candidates learning about this business opportunity, looking to seek mentorship.
Yeah.
And the reason we know who to spend time to is we look at their attitude. What I look for is somebody who's humble. Somebody who's appreciative. Somebody who's smart. Not street, not book smart, street smart, right? Like, has good critical thinking. Somebody who's hungry. Not hungry for food, right? Hungry for knowledge, right? But no, this is how I know, because, if I see someone showing a lot more humbleness, someone who's a lot more hungry to learn for the next step, then I know this is someone who's more serious. I know this is someone I should spend more time with. So pretty much to kind of wrap things up, I kind of want to tell you that the process is in your control. It may not seem that way, but it actually is, because, like I said, if you were to finish all the materials we sent out to you, and ask Chris, like, hey Chris, when can we meet up for the next step? He can't say no, right? I mean, he could say no, but like, why would he want to, right? But no, if you are someone who wants to go at a faster pace, then we will definitely accommodate for that. Does that make sense? So I wish someone told me that. I'm like, I'm over here waiting. Man, when's the next step? The whole time they were waiting for me to ask.
So, but that just goes to show, we're the ones who are looking for the mentorship.
Yeah.
You know, because regardless of if me or Chris build this business, regardless of if you, launch or not,
Yeah.
Phil and Luna's team is still going to grow. Regardless of if you join us or not, our team will still grow. We just want to see who wants to find some value into it, right?
Yeah. Who's committed?
Yeah, exactly. So, do you have any questions about that part?
Uh, about that part, no.
Okay, yeah, no worries. So that's pretty much it. We do want to take the time to talk to you about the volume part of it, but like I said, we are kind of getting shut down right now. But after today, we want to send you some more material, for you to look over, and maybe maybe sometime this week, we should meet up again and talk a little bit more about this the PV side, since I know you had some questions about that, on like pricing and things like that. That's something we can talk more in detail about. Do you think you're gonna have time, sometime during this week? I know you said you have midterm, but you
Yeah, I
think
should though. I should.
yeah, we should find a time. Okay, yeah, we definitely can. And I also wanted, like I mentioned before, we do have an upcoming seminar this
Yeah.
weekend, which means on Friday we have an in-person meeting, which Chris and the rest of the Merced team is going to drive up here for. And we would love for you to join us, because after that event is where we're head over to San Luis to join the big business seminar this weekend, and where we have people from our mentors team all over the country flying out so we can do that event, from Arizona, from Texas, from like parts of SoCal and LA. And we want to take the chance to, help you see the big team, help introduce you to some people that helped us along the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that'll be this weekend. Are you free during this weekend? You think you'll be able to make it?
I'm not sure, but I
Uh-huh.
think so. Yeah. I just have to check my schedule and everything.
Okay. So we'll send you some more information about it on the chat, so we can kind of find out, be able. Though obviously we would love for you to come to that event, because like I said, I think that's would be a really big step in terms of the selection process. Being able to see everything for yourself.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You get a feel for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll send you more information about it, like on dates and things like that. And like I said, if we can meet up again, maybe during the next few upcoming days, I can, answer some questions that you have about it, give you some more information myself. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Sound good? Okay. Yeah. But other than that, I think we were pretty much good for today. Yeah. We good, guys?
I mean, we just wrap it up. Just wanted to mention again, like I know you want to know about pricing, about like the wholesale look and things like that. So yeah, maybe like in 2 days, 2-3 days, we can maybe think of find a date or time that works with our schedules, and then we can actually help you kind of understand a little bit more, because that's actually something I'm really big on. I'm like really good and really big on closing sales, and help other people close sales as well. But yeah, also wanted to kind of just like mention that this event, Fast was actually my first event when I went to as
yeah,
I was like literally like in your shoes, and I went to this event, and it, like for me it was actually like a life-changing event. I met like this like awesome couple called Tony and Carla, and they're Hispanic, just like us, like same background, and they were actually like a couple since like high school, and so like they started this like freshmen in college, and they're like pretty successful, like financially, and also kind of like leaving that legacy for themselves, and they've achieved a lot of things at a very young age, like not most college students reach, like having owning two cars, Mercedes and an Audi, and then like being able to buy their own house. I think they bought 2 houses, right?
Oh yeah.
They bought like 2 houses at like before like 23, 24. So I'm like, how do they do this? And pretty much like it was a very impactful like seminar meeting. So like I'd highly recommend it. Yeah, we can send you more details with that. But I just wanted to share a little bit, how like when I was a kid, like after that meeting, actually I talked to Quan. She helped me reflect a little bit more, and I made my decision. I wanted to do this and commit to this. So I like finished the process a lot quicker after I came. Got to know more of the team, because I was very similar to kind of just like being on Zoom and things like that. I was a little bit farther, but yeah, I feel like when you're in person around the association, you can really feel like that impacted. I feel like it's pretty fun. But yeah, man, it's been a long meeting already. I don't want to keep you here too long, but yeah. I mean, we can wrap it up here.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you guys for inviting me again, and inviting even the coach for taking her time and setting everything up.
Yeah, man, it was good talking to you again, bro. And yeah, we'll stay up, but we'll stay together on the chat. That's like only way we can communicate. And hopefully we can meet up again soon.
Yeah, just hit up the chat and then
Yes,
the
sir.
details.
Sure.
That way I can hit you guys up.
All right,
All right,
That
man.
sounds good then, man.
Yeah, I will go ahead and wrap things up right here. But it was nice talking to you, Brian. You got any plans for the rest of today?
So today, no, to be honest, I'm tired as hell.
Oh man,
I'm tired for like 3 days, so it's like I really got ahead.
You guys
you guys are starting up again tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
That's where I'm just getting off.
Yeah.
I'm starting my spring break. Yeah. So yeah, good luck to you guys. Good luck on your midterms as well. Take some time to study for those. But yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
Have a good rest of your day, bro.